Hey guys, I'm back again with another new comic, Black Cat 2025, written by G. Willow Wilson, with art by Gleb Melnikov, and brought to life with colors by Brian Reber. Today we're going to talk about Black Cat 2025, from issue number 1 to number 3. Last time we saw Black Cat fighting alongside Miles Morales' Spider-Man against members of Black Obsidian. So without wasting any more time, let's get into it. But before we start the video, if you're new to our channel, please subscribe, because your one subscription motivates us to create more amazing videos like this. Alright, let's begin with Black Cat 2025, issue number 1. Our comic opens in Night Nurse's office, where Lizard, Bruno Granger, Boris Corpse, Frogman, Daredevil, Giraffe, and Black Cat are all sitting together around a table. Daredevil turns to Giraffe and says, "Come here often?" Giraffe replies, "Huh?" and looks away. Daredevil, in a low voice filled with pain, says, "Yeah, me too." Meanwhile, Black Cat and Frogman, overhearing their conversation, start laughing. Then, Night Nurse Linda Carter walks in and says, "Next." Frogman gets up and Linda asks him, "So, what seems to be the problem, Mr. Frogman?" Frogman says, "Ribbit." The Night Nurse doesn't quite understand and lowers her head saying, "Uh-huh, well let me take a look at that." Then Black Cat, as a narrator, says, "Yup, it's me. I promise this isn't as bad as it looks." Well, maybe it kinda is. Well, let's back up and start from the beginning. And just like that, a flashback explodes with chaos. Street fight. A massive reptile-like beast, Lizard, grabs Black Cat and slams her onto the road, WWE style, with a loud bud. The impact is so violent, you can almost feel the vibration through the comic's pages. From Black Cat's mouth comes a line of dry sarcasm. Nope, further than that. Meaning, the story's about to get even worse. Now, Black Cat is sprinting across rooftops, holding a large brown bag. Clearly, she just stole something. The police are running behind her in full cardio mode. But let's be honest, their stamina ain't even half of Black Cat's. As the flashback continues, Black Cat narrates, "It all started when that jerk Peter Parker stopped answering my calls. Felicia's on the phone, breathless but angry. 'Hello? Are you ghosting me or something? Is that what this is? Why am I going straight to voicemail?' She sounds like anyone whose messages are being ignored and suddenly thinks they're in some kind of thriller. She lands on a rooftop antenna while cops start climbing up after her. She keeps ranting on the phone. 'If you're pissed off at me, you need to tell me that, okay? Like a grown-up?' Suddenly, a giant boot enters the frame. Someone big is jumping in. Black Cat, in full agility mode, makes a perfect leap, holding her bag tightly, flipping right over the cops' heads. Felicia keeps talking. 'Because this is the third message I've left for you, and you haven't even sent me a courtesy text to say you've listened to him.' One cop tries to grab her. Bad timing. Felicia's bag hits him right in the face. Whack. Cop. Humph. She rolls away effortlessly and finishes. It's just a little bit rude, you know? In slow motion, she flips through the air against a sunset backdrop. Felicia says, 'Despite appearances to the contrary, I do care about you.' Felicia, Black Cat, keeps running and jumping down to the street, still on the call, 'And I'd really like to know whether you're okay or not.' Suddenly, the police show up and shout, 'Freeze! Hands up!' Black Cat turns around and says, 'Huh?' Then a female officer stammers, 'Stop, police.' Behind her, one exhausted cop is completely out of breath. Black Cat sighs, 'Crap.' Frustrated, she starts running again to escape. Usually they've given up by this point. They must be getting cardio in these days. Maybe the PNDY locked everybody into one of those Planet Fittest memberships you can't cancel. Then Black Cat takes out her phone and calls for backup. 'Hello? Boris. Thank God. Listen, I'm in Red Hook, and I need somewhere to hide.' As Black Cat runs past a mini-mart, she accidentally bumps into an old lady. The old lady shouts, 'Hey, watch where you're going, spandex!' But Black Cat ignores her and continues speaking to Boris on the phone. 'There's a safe house near my current location, isn't there?' 'Near Wolcott Street.' Boris and Bruno are sitting together in a room. Boris, seated in front of a computer, replies, 'Yes, the apartment above that wretched pet supply store appears to be available.' Bruno, laughing, says, 'The one that smells like bird poop?' Boris, still in the call with Black Cat, answers, 'Indeed. Your commentary is as insightful and welcome as usual, Bruno.' Boris begins to confirm Black Cat's arrival. 'I'll get you the passcode, boss.' 'Uh-oh.' Black Cat asks, 'Uh-oh what?' Boris, now tense, replies, 'Looks like there's a small hiccup.' Suddenly, Lizard bursts out of the pet supply store window, smashing the glass. Black Cat is shocked and quickly reports over the phone, It appears that the pet supply store is currently being ransacked by a lizard. At that moment, Black Cat can't help but think, do they actually keep pets like that in a pet store? Returning to the present moment where the flashback began, Black Cat, as the narrator says, who is the lizard, you might ask? Some say he's a brilliant scientist who lost his way. Others say he's an unhinged, atavistic symbol of humankind's most violent instincts. But in reality, he's just one of life's little mysteries. From behind, Lizard hears her and growls. Black Cat turns toward him and says, anyway, back in the flashback, Lizard crashes through the pet supply store window, holding 2 cages in his hands. None of that mattered earlier tonight, Black Cat narrates. The only thing I cared about was the fact that he was between me and safety. Black Cat and Lizard face each other. She says, afraid I need to get past you, friend. Lizard growls. Black Cat drops her stolen bag. Lizard, looking at her, says, too bad, I'm busy. Black Cat replies, yeah, I can see that, but I've got police on my tail and my safe house is upstairs. Lizard responds, sounds like a you problem. Then the two glare into each other's eyes. Black Cat says to Lizard, well, if you don't back off, it's gonna become an us problem. Cops are nastier to guys who hurt animals than they are to guys who hurt people. Lizard, growling irritably, replies, I'm not gonna hurt them. I'm gonna study them. Birds and reptiles have a common ancestor. Black Cat, mocking him, says, wow, that sounds fascinating. I can't wait to read about it in Scientific American. Now let me pass. Lizard gets angry and roars, Here! Black Cat thinks to herself, yeah, sarcasm was a mistake, because he launched himself right at me. She tries to reason with him. There is absolutely no need for this. Let's just calm down. Before she can finish, Lizard attacks. Black Cat hits the ground hard and groans in pain. Huh? She grabs one of Lizard's arms between her legs and says, will you chill out? We're supposed to be on the same side. She locks her legs around his head, and in pain, Lizard growls, and what side is that? Black Cat responds, the side that has an unspoken agreement to help each other stay one step ahead of the cops, who are on their way here right now. The side that says we get to do what we want. Black Cat thinks, clearly he found my argument unpersuasive. Lizard throws her into the air with a roar. Urgha! She crashes and slides across the ground, groaning. Oh, okay, fine. You win that debate, but nobody wins against a little bad luck. Lizard, running toward her, shouts, can't you get out of my way? Black Cat, with attitude, replies, with pleasure. She swiftly trips him, and Lizard's momentum sends him headfirst into a dumpster. Trash and banana peels fall all over him. Lizard looks disoriented, not understanding what just happened. Black Cat narrates, but what happened next was just plain bad luck. Lizard's luck gets even worse. After falling into the dumpster, the pet supply store's banner collapses right on top of him, knocking him out cold. Black Cat picks up her bag, while Lizard, dazed, mutters, that's cheating. Black Cat replies, luck has always been unevenly distributed, Liz. That's why life feels so unfair. Ordinary people struggle out here, while some idiot born on the Upper East Side goes about his day thinking he deserves all his good luck. I'm just redistributing the... Then Black Cat suddenly notices Spider-Man through the shattered window. She pauses, saying, huh? Spider-Man lands on a streetlight pole, watching her. Black Cat, slightly teasing, says, finally, took you long enough, Spider Dude. Wait a minute, you seem off. Has something happened? Besides, Hellgate and all that? Spider-Man just stares at Black Cat, acting as if he doesn't care about anything or anyone. Black Cat keeps talking to him, growing more frustrated. Are you seriously not even gonna say anything? Don't I deserve some kind of explanation? Spider-Man shoots his web and swings away, without saying a single word. It basically feels like that moment when a boyfriend knows he's messed up, and his girlfriend is scolding him while he just stands there silently. Black Cat yells after him, hey, we're still talking! Don't mind me. I'm just out here doing Spider-Man's cop. Things are getting a little spicy on these streets while you deal with all the looming threats. Then she looks behind her and sees Lizard, muttering to herself, crap, time to hide. Black Cat reaches her safe house and her narration starts again. Upstairs in the safe house, I can relax. Finally. As soon as she steps inside, she smells bird poop and says, Bruno was right. It does smell like bird poop. I need a bath. Honestly, after all that effort, getting a hot bath would feel like heaven. As Black Cat starts taking off her costume, her narration continues. I know it doesn't look that way, but spending your life figuring out how to get all the things you want can be pretty exhausting. She removes a full costume and heads toward the bathroom. When you're a thief, you're constantly thinking about things. Material stuff. Money, art, jewelry, weapons. It starts to crowd out your own thoughts. The more you get, the more you want. It's a trap. And having a pretty, shiny thing is usually less fun than wanting it. Black Cat sits in the bathtub, soaking in the hot water and relaxing. She says, the terrible loneliness of fulfilled desire and all that. Poor little me, right? Don't get me wrong. I'm not asking for sympathy. I'm just saying this life isn't as easy or as glamorous as it looks from the outside. Then she emphasizes the point, being Black Cat takes work. She reflects on her struggles and how hard she's worked to reach where she is. Scene, the gym. Felicia is slamming ropes like an absolute beast. Her trainer yells from behind in full drill sergeant mode, faster, push. Felicia's thoughts overlay the scene. I'm not super strong like some people. These shoulders were made in the gym, and she's telling the truth. All that strength didn't come from Spider-Man's bite. She earned it. Next panel, salon. Felicia's hair is wrapped completely in foil. She looks ridiculous. Zero glamour. Highlights, full foil, every 8 weeks. It's not cheap. Then a bedroom panel. Felicia's going to sleep wearing a plastic rat headpiece, looking like a total mummy. Narration. And I wake up looking like that because I go to bed looking like this. No one ever sees that part of the hot thief aesthetic. Everyone wants Black Cat's confident charm. Nobody wants to sleep in tinfoil like a baked potato. Back in the bathtub, enjoying the hot water, Felicia says, the upkeep itself is practically a full-time job. And that's on top of my full-time job of stealing things. Black Cat looks at the cut on her hand and says, ugh. And there's still stuff I can't do on my own, like stitch up a major laceration. She stands up, still dripping wet, and says, I need the night nurse. Now back to Chinatown, Manhattan. A short time later, Black Cat walks down the stairs from her safe house, saying, fortunately, she keeps her office open late. She's walking through the city streets, visibly frustrated. By this point, the adrenaline had worn off, and I was in so much pain that I just threw a jacket over my costume, which made me vulnerable in other ways. At night, alone, out of costume, I don't read as a threat. Instead, I become a cute blonde who smells like money. Then 2 guys bump into her. They're thieves. They pickpocket Black Cat and steal her money clip. A thief getting robbed. Poetic irony. She checks her pocket, realizes it's gone, and says, what the? Those little punks stole my money clip. Black Cat spots them running off and shouts, get back here, you cowards. I am not the person you steal from. I'm the person who steals from you. And honestly, you can just imagine how cute and frustrated she sounded saying that. Anyway, Black Cat, questioning herself, keeps walking and mutters, what is the world coming to? And that's where our flashback ends. We're now back in the present. Black Cat sits on the sofa, holding her arm, and her narration comes to an end as she says, which brings us to the present, where everything is terrible. Night Nurse smiles and says, well, well. Black Cat in my office, looking like a stray kitten. Looks like you're my last patient of the eve. Come on back. Black Cat answers quietly, swell. Both of them walk into the office. Night Nurse asks, long night? Black Cat replies softly, you have no idea. But Night Nurse acts as if she already knows and says, I have some idea. Seems like an awful lot of you costume types to try to murder each other at the moment. Black Cat, rubbing her forehead, says, yeah, and if you would pick a side, maybe the bad ones would die faster. Night Nurse replies gently, you know I can't do that. I treat anybody who walks through my door. No questions asked. Then Night Nurse gestures to the examination table. Come on, hop up. Tell me what hurts. Black Cat sits on the stretcher and shows her injured arm, saying, it's, my arm. Night Nurse asks, how bad? Black Cat replies, worse than a paper cut. Better than an amputation. Night Nurse, unwrapping the bandage, says, and you say you got this from a lizard? Black Cat explains, the lizard. The guy you just saw with the lump on his head? There were also some birds involved. Night Nurse gives her a look and pulls out her medical kit. She takes out a syringe. Black Cat asks, you know what's depressing? Night Nurse replies, Black Cat, speaking emotionally, says, as a thief, you think you work outside the system. You think I'm here to add a little chaos. Shake things up. Make the people who've gotten too comfortable think twice about how they live their lives. But then, when actual chaos arrives, when the system starts to change and break apart, you realize. Night Nurse interrupts, little pinch now. After the injection, Black Cat lies back on the stretcher, resting. Night Nurse asks, all done? You were saying? You realize what? Black Cat softly answers, you realize you depend on that system to survive. Chaos doesn't actually help. You're not outside of it. You're part of it. You thought everybody else was a boring rule follower? And you were this cool, edgy rebel. But really, you just flip side to the same coin. And now you have to. Then Black Cat's mind starts racing. And she suddenly says, that's it. Night Nurse asks, what is? Black Cat replies, I always thought it would be great if Spider-Man looked the other way for a while. Easier for me to do my job. But now that he's distracted by Hellgate, everything in my world is worse. I miss the way it was before, when Spider-Man was keeping the other riffraff out of my way. Black Cat sits up from the stretcher and says, I gotta do something about it. I never thought I'd say this, I'm gonna have to fight crime. And in her mind, one thought keeps echoing, that when things are like this, you have to be prepared for every situation. Now, the scene shifts to somewhere in the outer boroughs. Of course, when you decide to change course, not everyone will be happy about your decision. There will always be someone waiting for you to make a mistake. And those guys? Tombstone, sitting in front of several TV screens, says, "So, the kitty cat and Spider-Man are on the outs with each other. Interesting. That's interesting. Those are the ones you really have to watch out for." Tombstone turns to Sandman and says, "Maybe this is something we can use. I'm not sure how, but I'm gonna think about it." Sandman asks, "Want to bring her in for a chat, Tombstone?" Tombstone shakes his head. "Nah, not yet. Let's wait and see what she does next. Even a cat loses its balance sometimes." Sandman adds, "And if it doesn't, you can always give it a little push." Tombstone, impressed, says, "I like the way you think, Sandman. Now get out there. Let's put a tail on this kitty." And that's where issue number 1 ends. The question is, did Tombstone already know everything? And does Black Cat realize she's being watched? Anyway, and now we move forward to Black Cat 2025 issue number 2, which begins at 7 a.m. in Manhattan's Glutes gym, where a voice from inside shouts, "3 more." And from here, a beautiful and confident Black Cat's narration begins. "The morning after my light bulb moment at the night nurse's office, I was ready to hit the ground running, or maybe lifting. Inside Glutes gym, the trainer is pushing Black Cat hard, shouting, 'Stay with it. Hold on to it.' Black Cat is exhausted. She can't take much more. 'I'm trying,' she says, before collapsing to the floor, breathing heavily. I'm pretty sure your upper body workouts violate the Geneva Conventions, Peach. This is the dictionary definition of torture." She lies flat on the floor and groans, "I think I pulled my stitches." The trainer asks, "So why'd you book the extra session? You training for something?" Black Cat gives a short answer. "I sure am." Internally, she thinks she's already briefed Boris and Bruno. Just then, her phone rings. Boris calling. Black Cat answers. "Boris, what do you got for me?" Boris replies, "You're gonna love it." Then, in a calm but deep voice, he says, "Vampires." Black Cat can't believe it. "Excuse me?" Boris explains, "A few young guns from the Manfredi crime family have split off and are running their own money laundering service for immortals." Black Cat stretches, standing up beside her trainer. "These kids help their clients sell things that are difficult to move. Old currencies, art, antiquities, that kind of thing. They're making money hand over fist. Are these vampires, hot?" Boris, confused, asks, "Are they what?" Black Cat repeats, "Are they the kind that look like romance novel heroes, or the kind that look like hairless, shriveled corpses?" Boris, again puzzled, says, "Again, what?" Black Cat turns to her trainer. "Sorry, Peach. We're gonna have to cut this short. I got a work thing." The trainer nods. "No problem. I promised to meet my boyfriend at Sweet Green for lunch anyway." Now the scene shifts to Hell's Kitchen later that day. Black Cat stands on a rooftop terrace, watching Gio and Leo unloading crates below. "They don't seem worried about doing their business in broad daylight," she says. Down below, Leo shouts at Gio, "Gio, stop staring and do something useful." Leo and Gio didn't seem tense running their business in broad daylight, as if they didn't expect to get caught. Or maybe they were just desperate, the way most of us are these days. Black Cat says, "Sheesh, times must be tough if even Manfredi Nepo babies need a side hustle." Black Cat jumps off the rooftop and says, "Either way, I was about to give them a rude awakening." She thinks to herself, maybe she's being a little overconfident, like all cats are. I was used to landing on my feet. And you can't really blame me if I wasn't paying close attention to my surroundings. After all, I had luck and agility on my side. What could possibly go wrong? Now inside the building where Leo and Gio are unloading their goods, one of the workers asks, "So where do you want this thing?" Leo replies, "Over there. Wherever you can find room. But be careful. That's a genuine Louis XV console table. It's priceless." Gio, counting money, says, "It ain't priceless, Leo. It's got a very specific valuation, and we get a 10% cut." Leo responds, "That was a figure of speech, Gio, which you would have learned if you'd actually gone to school instead of hustling grandmas at Pachinko. It's too quiet. That dork in red spandex is bound to show up sooner or later." Gio laughs. "Don't get so stressed out, Leo. We bought off the feds, and the guys in costumes are too busy asking what does it all mean to bother with the likes of us." Leo, with attitude, says, "That's where you're wrong, Gio Manfredi." Gio snaps back. "What did you just say?" "Huh?" Suddenly, Black Cat appears, striking a pose like a total Avenger, and says, "I may not be the guy in costume you expected, but I'm the one you've got. And as much as I admire this little venture of yours, I'm afraid I've got to shut you down. Organized crime happening in broad daylight scares the normies. And that's bad for my business. I need them happy, eager to splash cash, and blissfully unaware of my hand in their pockets." Leo and Gio stare at her, shocked. like some uninvited guest just crashed their party. They ask, "Who are you? And how did you get in here?" Black Cat, full dramatic flair, replies, "I'm the Black Cat. But today, you can call me your friendly neighborhood cat lady." Leo and Gio are stunned. They thought Black Cat was just a thief, not some kind of hero. Black Cat corrects them firmly. "I am a thief." Leo asks, "Then why are you bothering us? We didn't sign up for a lecture from and Gio finishes his sentence, "class traitor." Black Cat explains to them, "I'm here because I've realized something. It's harder to be a good thief when thieves are everywhere. People lock up their valuables. They stay home. They've started to realize everyone has a grift, from their cell phone providers to their senators." Leo calmly asks, "Then why not go after the big fish? Leave us alone. Go after the corporate grifters." Black Cat replies, "Because I can't do anything about the big fish. Theft on a small scale is a crime. Theft on a large scale is just economics." On the next page, Leo says, "This isn't fair. We're not even stealing from regular people. We're just hustling the undead." Gio, frustrated, adds, "You got no idea what it's like for young mafiosos out there. If we don't carve out our own space, we'll be left with nothing." Then Black Cat makes her entry. Confident, calm, and full of attitude. Hearing their complaints, she says, "I get it, I do. And if Spider-Man were doing his job, I wouldn't even be here." But all the heroes seem too busy pondering existential questions to deal with petty crime these days. Leo, holding back his anger, says, "You're not the boss of us." Black Cat turns around, smiles slightly, and says, "You're right, I'm not your boss. This is just friendly advice." As she walks away toward the stairs, she adds, "If you're smart enough to hustle vampires, you could be doing anything. You've got your whole lives ahead of you. Dream big." Inside the building, hidden in the shadows, Sandman has been listening to the entire conversation. Black Cat's narration follows. "I left on a high. I felt good, like I was really making a difference. But even the most noble acts can have unintended consequences." Sandman takes out his phone, calls his boss, and says, "Something weird's going on, boss. The kitty just chewed out a couple of Manfredi boys for some harmless extracurricular activity. I think she switched sides." The scene shifts to a dark, blue-lit office. Tombstone sits silhouetted against the window. In a deep voice, he says, "That must have been one hell of a conversation she had with Spider-Man." That calm but calculating, he continues, "Maybe this is bigger than a harmless spat between old friends. Maybe they finally parted ways. For good. Cold, expressionless, a true mastermind." Thinking out loud, he adds, "This could work for us." He's cut off from his biggest supporter in the criminal underworld. She's got no backup when things go sideways. Sandman asks, "So how do we leverage it into something we can use?" Tombstone smirks slightly and says, almost in a whisper, "Well, Sandy, I think I have the first little throbs of a plan." The scene shifts. New York City skyline. The sun sets behind the Empire State Building as silly lights start to flicker on one by one. In the background, Black Cat narrates, "Now, I thought I'd given those Manfredi boys a chewing out they'd remember." Cut to a dark alley. A white van pulls up. Headlights cutting through the shadows, scattering a few stray cats. Black Cat continues, but warnings don't tend to stick, not with the young and reckless. The van stops outside an old, rundown building. Someone steps out, getting ready to go inside, not when there's money to be made. The back doors of the van swing open. Gio and Leo stand there. Leo says to Gio, "Are we sure nobody spotted the van at the docks? No spiders, no devils, no cats?" Gio replies confidently, "We're sure." Leo asks again, with some doubt, "And are we sure he's actually, in there?" Gio answers, "I didn't check under the lid, man, but whatever came off the boat was pretty heavy." The story continues. The scene shifts to the top of a telephone pole, where a sleek and confident figure sits, Black Cat. Her eyes glint with that familiar shine as she looks down and says, "You ready, Bruno?" Below, a young man, Bruno, wearing a hoodie and mask, checks his gun and replies, "Ready, boss." Black Cat says calmly, "Stay put unless things get nasty, okay? You're just here as backup." Bruno quickly responds, "Copy that." The camera cuts to another character, Boris, lounging in a chair eating popcorn. In a sarcastic tone, he says, "Oh, I'm ready. But first, I'd like to go on record saying, I think this is a very, very bad idea." Black Cat sighs and says, "Noted, Boris." With a slightly annoyed expression, she explains, "We're thieves, not law enforcement. These are not interchangeable skill sets." She adds with a teasing tone, "Remind me to give you a lecture about asset forfeiture later." But okay, before she can say anything else, Bruno cocks his gun, click, and says, "Quiet, you nerds. They've opened the doors. It's time to move." The story continues. Under the moonlight, a white van is parked. and 2 men are working beside it. They're carrying a large coffin, and it's immediately clear that something isn't right. One of the workers, struggling a bit, says, "Sheesh, what do you got in there? Plutonium?" Geo replies sarcastic, "Yeah, that's right. We're in the heavy metal business." He grunts loudly, "Whew," as if the coffin's weight is hard to handle. Leo, tense and uneasy, says to Geo, "I don't know about this, Geo. We should have done the drop somewhere else, even if it meant risking our dads finding out." He grabs his collar nervously and adds, "Something just isn't right. I can feel it in my..." Before he can finish, ping! A sharp metallic sound rings out. A hook or claw-like object lands near the coffin. Another worker jumps back in shock. But then, more ping! Ping! Sounds follow. In the next panel, the coffin drops to the ground. Thud! And one of the men screams, "Ah!" The story continues. The spotlight finally falls on Black Cat. Moonlight gleams off her silver hair as she makes a graceful leap down. Determination burns in her eyes, and her narration begins. "I only wanted to frighten them." She extends her claws and says confidently, "Mess with the cat, you get the claws." The narration continues. "Make them understand that I was serious." She lands right next to one of the thugs, and with a lightning-fast move, kicks him across the face. Doof. He yells, "Ah!" The narrator concludes, "But brawls are slippery things. No matter how skilled you are at fighting, you never really know how they're gonna turn out." The scene grows more intense. Black Cat grabs the thug by the collar and says, "I warned you." He raises his hands defensively and panics, shouting, "Wait, you're making a huge mistake." Black Cat leans in with a sarcastic smile and says, "Sure I am. It's all a mistake. You're totally innocent. And whatever's inside that giant box is perfectly legal." Her expression makes it clear she's done playing. She steps closer to his face and says, "This is serious. You have no idea who you're about to piss off." At that exact moment, a loud "foom" sound erupts, like something igniting or exploding. A blinding light fills the panel. The tension spikes even higher. The story continues. As that "foom" explosion hits, a flash of light spreads, and something horrifying bursts out from inside the coffin. Suddenly, scree, scree, scree. Dozens of small, demonic, bat-like creatures fly out, their faces twisted and terrifying. Black Cat and Leo both step back in shock, her expression frozen in disbelief. "What the hell?" she says. Leo, panicking, screams, "See? What did I tell you?" Then, the biggest shock of all, smoke rises from inside the coffin. Through that swirling mist, a tall, elegant, and terrifying figure emerges. A classic vampire. Sharp features, a red-lined black coat, and an air of arrogance. He speaks calm. "Greetings, peasants. I am Baron Alexander Razumnovsk." Smoke and mystical light swirl around him as he steps onto the ground. "This is not the welcome I expected, but you Americans have such strange customs that I will excuse your bad manners just this once." Black Cat's eyes widen in shock and disbelief. She clearly hadn't signed up for this. The narration begins with Black Cat's thoughts. "I wouldn't say I panicked. I mean, not really. But as Baron leaps toward her, she reacts instinctively, extending her claws to block his attacks. The narration continues. "But it's possible I let my reflexes take over when I should have taken a beat to think about things first." Aaron, in a calm but menacing tone, says, "Charming. Do you realize this suit is worth more than your life?" Spack, spack, spack. His blows land one after another. Then his eyes glow red as he snarls, "And you will pay for it." He strikes. Whoosh! But Black Cat dodges with agility and counters from behind, saying, "You don't know me very well yet, Baron Alexander." Wham! A perfectly timed kick sends him stumbling back. With a confident smile, she adds, "But when you do, you'll discover I never pay for anything." Dusting off her gloves, she says casually, "Are you done acting spooky? Good. I'm afraid there's been a change of plans. The Manfredi boys are shutting down their operation. You'll have to take your business elsewhere." Before she can finish, scree, scree! The small demon bat creatures attack again. Dodging them, Black Cat groans. Ugh. The narration continues. "It was a good speech for something I improvised on the spot. I really thought I was on a roll." And finally, her inner monologue concludes. "But as I was about to discover, fighting crime is a lot more complicated than committing it." A classic Felicia Hardy line, full of irony and self-awareness. We then see the Manfredi brothers. One stressed-out mobster says, "Come on, Leo. If we can't protect our clients, our reputation is cooked." It's clear these are the same Manfredi gang members Baron Alexander was dealing with. Cut to Baron Alexander, looking both irritated and majestic. surrounded by his demonic minions. This is extremely irregular. The small red creatures around him screech, "Scree! Scree!" Baron says dramatically. "When I book travel arrangements, I expect fine-star treatment. If this nonsense continues, I will be forced to leave you Manfredi children a very unfavorable review." Before he can finish, bonk, an object hits him right on the head. Felicia's voiceover narration continues. "But even when things don't go my way, there's one thing I really can't stand." In the panels, Baron's demon minions are suddenly hit thunk, thunk, thunk by some unseen attacker. Felicia says, "And that's being rescued when I didn't ask." She looks over, irritated, and says, "Hey, who invited you?" A mysterious off-panel voice replies, "What can I say? I don't like owing people favors." It's clear a new character has made an unexpected entrance. And judging by Felicia's tone, she's not thrilled about it. Her narration picks up again, especially people named Daredevil. Daredevil lands with a perfect flip, spinning his billy club and taking out the remaining demon bat creatures. Their bodies fall to the rooftop. Thud, thwip, clang. Felicia, looking half surprised and half annoyed, says, "I had this whole thing under control, you know." Daredevil adjusts his mask with a calm smile and replies, I can tell." The two stand facing each other, moonlight glitting off their costumes. "Daredevil, but you're in my territory, BC. You must have known I would drop by. I didn't know you had personal issues with the Manfredi crime family." Black Cat, "I don't. I have personal issues with young punks getting in the way of my business strategy." Daredevil gives a slightly sarcastic smile. "Well, it's good to see you again, even if you're just here on business." Black Cat, Yeah, it's good to see you too. You look very..." Her narration cuts in. "Beautiful. He looked beautiful." Then she finishes a sentence aloud. "Tall." The comic continues as Baron Alexander makes his dramatic re-entry, stepping through smoke and flames. In his royal accent, his voice echoes, "And well, you know me, I find pretty things extremely distracting." In the background, Daredevil and Black Cat exchange an awkward glance. Seeing their chemistry, Baron loses his temper, throwing his hands up and shout, "Are you flirting with him? Well, I'm just standing here losing money? I hate this country." Behind him, the thugs, still dizzy from Daredevil's attacks, struggle to stand. Bruno asks in a confused voice, "What should I do with these bozos, boss? We don't got nowhere to keep them." Baron, annoyed, makes a gesture, and poof! With a burst of smoke, the thugs vanish. Geo yells, "Get your hands off us, you walking nail box! My father's gonna sue you." But his words are cut off by police sirens. Whew, whew! Red and blue lights reflect across their faces as Daredevil says calmly, "Looks like it's your lucky day, Bruno. The police are here to take them off your hands." And Leo, with a confident smile, adds, "Perfect." Black Cat's face. Narration begins with her thoughts. "Listen, I might be taking down Manfredi punks, but I'm no hero. Crap. When I hear the word police, my first instinct is to run, cause I know they only see me one way." Cut to street level. The police have arrested everyone. Reporters and bystanders crowd around Black Cat. Phones out, flashes going off. A young fan excitedly asks, "Are you really Black Cat?" Another one adds, "Did you catch those mafia guys?" Black Cat gives a small, confident, but thoughtful smirk. Narration overlay. But this time was different. The comic continues. Black Cat stands at the corner of an alley, surrounded by lights and cameras. With a slightly awkward smile, she speaks into a phone camera. I don't want people to make a big deal out of this. I'm still the same Black Cat." As she speaks, the screen fills with hearts and likes. People are watching the live stream, comments flooding in. Black Cat continues, her tone growing confident. "But I do think this city belongs to all of us. Everybody should feel safe walking these streets, safe from vampires, lizards, organized crime. Nobody's coming to save us. So we have to look out for each other, and I have a plan to help." In the background, the New York City skyline glows. Digital hearts float around the Empire State Building like fireworks. Narration box, "By the time I got home, that video had been streamed 2,500 times." Scene shift, morning. A familiar figure, J. Jonah Jameson, sips coffee while scrolling through his phone. Narration overlay. An hour later, it was up to 60,000. He stares at the phone in shock and sprays coffee all over the screen. Apparently, a lot of people were ready to hear what I had to say. Jameson wipes his phone, speaking in a tone that's a mix of anger and excitement. Sometimes, when the heroes are busy pretending everything is hunky-dory, it takes a thief to tell it like it is. Then, in a dramatic panel, Jameson makes a call. "Hey, Nora, Jameson here." Without pausing, he continues, "Yeah, I know what time it is, but we've got to rally the entire Threats and Menaces crew. We're gonna blow this Black Cat story wide open." And with that, we move on to issue number 3. After writing 2 issues, My back's starting to hurt, so I need a Kit Kat break. But I won't stop. I'll just order from Zomato. Because if I stop now, you'll be late. Haha, just kidding, guys. Our comic opens in complete darkness, an uneasy silence where only one sound can be heard. Bzz, bzz, bzz. A phone screen blinks, its blue glow lighting up a corner of the room. On a bedside table, the phone keeps vibrating. A hand reaches out, half asleep, and picks it up. Black Cat, lying in bed with a face mask on, grabs her phone. What is it now? A beat of silence. Only the blue light from the screen reflects on her face. Her expression shifts from confusion to shock. Then she quietly says, almost in a whisper, "So yeah, this is when things started to get pretty wild." On her phone screen, a news post is visible, showing a headline with romantic undertones between Black Cat and Daredevil. Headline: TNM Black Cat collars criminals. Has this femme fatale turned her coat? Daredevil sighting sparks romance rumors. Shift in the scene. Early morning sunlight blasts through the window with a blinding shing flash. Black Cat, Felicia Hardy, shields her eyes and says, "Gah." Narration box adds quiet, "I decided to call Boris to get his read on the situation." Felicia opens the curtains, sunlight hitting her face. She squints and turns away from the glare. On the other end, Boris says, "Boss, why do you sound half asleep?" Felicia replies, "Because I am half asleep, Boris." "What time is it anyway?" Boris answers, "It's almost 10:30 in the a.m. Felicia stretches, walking toward the bed and says, Okay, at me. "Have you seen this article on threats and menaces?" Boris replies, "Of course I have." While making tea in his kitchen, Boris adds, "And in my opinion, it's a disaster." Felicia says, "What? Why? Don't you think it could be good publicity?" As she puts on her boots, Felicia continues, "You know, get the word out, strike fear into the hearts of my enemies, build my brand." Boris replies, "You don't have a brand. You work in the shadows. Now every Tom, Dick, and Harry with a cell phone will be out looking for you. And what about these so-called romance rumors?" Felicia, slipping into a costume, says, "That part is bogus. Daredevil and I just talked for like 3 minutes. It doesn't matter. People will believe anything they read on the internet." Boris warns, "You got a huge spotlight on you now, and it's gonna make doing your job a lot more difficult." Felicia responds, "All I wanted to do was keep other thieves from blowing up my spot." Boris says, "No, you wanted to play the hero, and heroes end up on the news. So, congratulations. You did it." Then he adds, "Anyway, I've got a new lead for you, assuming you can find time in your busy schedule of being internet famous." Felicia sighs softly and says, "Oh no, what is it? More vampires? Mummies? Zombies?" Boris says, "This time it's merely standard issue smuggling." Felicia, adjusting a costume, replies, "So a normal day in the tri-state area. What a relief." Now the scene shifts to a bright afternoon where Black Cat stands near a subway. Felicia's narration begins. "I camped out above the Major Deegan to wait for the suspiciously unmarked truck Boris had identified. It was already starting to feel natural. This shift from being on the wrong side of the law to being on the, well, maybe not the right side, but the other side. After all, it's not like I've never helped the good guys before. I've always done what feels right in the moment." Then Felicia jumps onto the moving truck, and her narration continues. This time, however, the stakes felt a lot higher. Inside the truck, Jim hears a noise and says to his partner Giraffe, "You hear that? Sounds like something hit the roof." Jim looks up through the roof hatch, but doesn't see anything. He says, "Must have been a bird or something." Suddenly, Black Cat appears at the window, startling him. Jim shouts, "What?" The truck swerves, becoming unstable. Black Cat is thrown into the air as a car passes dangerously close to her. She yells, "Hey!" She manages to steady herself, and her narration returns. "I didn't expect to have a gun in my face the moment I stuck my head through the passenger side window either." Jim points his gun at her head and growls, "I don't know what games you think you're playing, cat lady, but you are in way over your pretty little head." Black Cat, startled, says, "What in the world?" As she steadies herself on the moving truck, she glances inside and recognizes one of the men, the tall one, Giraffe. She remembers, "I could have sworn I saw this guy in the night nurse's waiting room once." Her narration adds, "Despite the adorable exterior, I could tell he was a tough customer." Then Black Cat smirks and says, "Don't worry, boys. You'll get where you're going. I'm just along for the ride." Black Cat was confident at that moment. With a little bit of luck, she thought she could easily handle the two of them. Then she swiftly snatched the gun from Jim. Jim shouted, "What the? How'd you get my gun?" The truck started to shake, and cars around them honked loudly. Now the scene shifts to New Jersey, where Black Cat has brought Jim and Giraffe to a warehouse-like location. Jim, clearly annoyed, says, "This was supposed to be a simple one-stop drop. I don't understand why we suddenly got such bad luck." Black Cat, pointing the gun at him, replies, Well, Jim, bad luck just seems to follow some people around. As she pushes them forward, Jim mutters, well, you're gonna be the unlucky one in a minute, cat lady. Black Cat confidently responds, sure I am, Jim. All you organized crime types like to pretend you've got some kind of shadowy secret that no one else understands, and that'll blow up in the hero's face at some appropriately dramatic moment. Of course, last time, that turned out to be true, but they don't need to know that. Then Black Cat asks, why doesn't your friend ever say anything? It's revealed that the tall man's name is the Mule. Jim answers her question. The Mule? He doesn't talk. Black Cat softly replies, so why is he called the Mule if he's a giraffe? Jim smirks and says, you're about to find out. Black Cat forces Jim and the Mule to open the shutters. Our comic opens inside a dark, high-security warehouse. The white glow of fluorescent lights reflecting off metallic crates and strange, alien-looking plants. The narration box quietly kicks in. Ha ha ha. I thought he got me. He's called the Mule because he moves contraband. Lots of it. Evidently from outer space. Through the massive warehouse shutters, Black Cat, Jim, and the Mule enter. Black Cat, with her signature swagger, looks around and says, whoa. The narration continues, her tone slightly oppressed. And a mule who can't snitch? Absolutely genius. Black Cat, eyes widening, says, what the heck is all this? Jim replies, it's a grow operation. Hallucinogenic plants from the planet Rigel. The alien plant's tentacles twitch slightly, as if they're breathing. The scene looks straight out of a sci-fi trip. Jim continues, they pay in platinum bars for this stuff off-planet. I thought I was gonna make enough money on this run to pay off my Mercedes. Until you showed up. Black Cat tightens her stance, subtly readying her gun. Black Cat, I'm afraid you'll have to leave the Benz on autopay a while longer, Jimbo. Both of you are coming with me to the police state. Suddenly, a gun barrel presses against her temple. Jim, I can't let you do that, Auntie. Cat lady. Black Cat stands in the middle of the alien grow-op, gun drawn, while the thug points his weapon at her. The tension is razor sharp. Then, a calm voice echoes from above. A super-secret agency has been watching this operation. From a spotlight descends a familiar red and blue suited figure. Confident, young, and full of energy. Miss Marvel. They're gonna want to debrief these guys. Black Cat looks up, half irritated, half impressed. Great. Another one. Miss Marvel, in a casual tone, says, and I don't want to sound mean, but you probably just messed up their intelligence gather by barging in like this. Felicia rolls her eyes. You're that kid, that stretchy kid. Miss Marvel drops down in a perfect hero landing, her scarf flowing behind her. That's me, Miss Marvel. Black Cat awkwardly replies, yeah, right. Then Kamala says in an enthusiastic tone, wait a minute, I know who you are. You're Black Cat. You stole my phone that one time. Felicia makes a panicked face, waving her hands. That wasn't me. That was a misunderstanding. Our comic continues. Black Cat and Miss Marvel stand facing each other. A mix of awkward silence and attitude. Black Cat casually says, it's okay. I got it back in the end. Felicia rolls her eyes and says, we're getting off track. You're just a child. What do you care who takes these guys down? Ms. Marvel shrugs and says, sorry, not my call. I'm not even supposed to be here. I'm just a default New Jersey person. Then Kamala uses her enlarged hands to grab Jim and the Mule. Jim shouts, hey! But Kamala calmly says, honestly, if it were up to me, I'd totally let you walk out of here with these two bozos. Black Cat, narrowing her eyes, says, then why don't you? Nobody else even knows I'm here. Kamala replies from behind. Well, you know, how crime runs deeper than most people think, and 99% of it is stuff you can't see, like wage theft and whatever. Same goes for crime fighting. It's mostly invisible, especially when it's intergalactic. Then, in a casual tone, Kamala adds, I love that piece they ran about you on Pretz and Menaces, by the way. The photos were great. Black Cat awkwardly replies, sure, yeah, thanks. See you later, I guess. Miss Marvel drags the two criminals away, a heroic but teen-style exit. Felicia watches them leave as Jim shouts, wait a minute, you're making enemies you can't afford, lady. You'll have your day in the bright lights, but then what? You may be a cat, but you don't got 9 lives. Black Cat hears him and gives only a cold smile, as if to say, we'll see about that. Black Cat sits in her hideout, spinning mechanical gloves and 2 revolvers. The light is dim, her expression cold. To be honest, I didn't pay much attention to Jim's threat, she says to herself. After all, he was being carried out the door by a teenage fidget spinner. Felicia smirks a little, but her expression quickly turns serious. My immediate concern was that, yet again, a costume do-gooder had eaten my lunch. Her face shows a mix of annoyance and pride. She picks up her phone with a grin. Hi, is this the Threats and Menaces tip line? I've got a lead on a hot story. Cut to static from the newsroom line. A voice on the other end says, wow, big if true. This one's above my pay grade. I'm patching you through to the guy who wrote that Black Cat story. Felicia's expression freezes. Her eyes widen slightly. Wait, you mean Jay Jonah? Cut to, J. Jonah Jameson in his office, feet up on the desk, cigar in hand, full old-school boss vibes. Jameson here. To whom am I speaking? Felicia stands with full confidence, striking a perfect pose. You know who this is. Jameson smiles, blowing out a puff of cigar smoke. Well, 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 look what the cat dragged. Felicia rolls her eyes and says, yeah, stellar banter. Never heard that one before. J. Jonah Jameson in his office, coffee in one hand, phone in the other, wearing his usual irritated expression. Jameson, did you see the article? Felicia, dry tone. Of course I saw the article. The entire internet saw the article. Jameson leans back in his chair with a smirk. Well, what'd you think? Felicia's patience snaps. Romance rumors with Daredevil? Seriously. Jameson calmly replies, you two look pretty cozy in the photos. Wasn't a stretch. I was trying to do a job. Felicia almost growls. She takes a deep breath, her tone more composed. But anyway, listen, that's not why I called. There's fire in her eyes. I called because twice I've tried to fight crime, and twice a so-called hero has either gotten in my way or told me I wasn't allowed. Jameson's eyes narrow. Now that's a story. Felicia continues. This time, it's that loopy ex-kid from Nay. Jameson, Miss Marvel? Felicia, that sounds right. Jameson's face turned smug. Pure old-school arrogance. Well, what did you expect? You thought you could just switch sides and expect the people who've been risking their lives for good old law and order to thank you. Felicia pauses, lips pressed. Her expression softens. For a second, she looks vulnerable. Then she says quietly, well, yeah. Silence. Felicia stands there holding the phone, sunlight falling over her silver hair. From Jameson's office, his dry, ruthless voice crackles through the line. Jameson, listen. This is not a threats and menaces story. This is a discussion to have with your therapist. Give me a call when you actually collar a bad guy. Then I'll make sure photographers are standing by, waiting to capture your best side. Felicia pauses for a moment. There's a hint of hurt in her eyes, then sarcasm. Felicia flatly, well, goodbye to you too. The phone disconnects. Silence follows. Just a beep beep and the faint sound of wind in the background. She stands still for a moment, then mutters to herself, if there's one thing I hate, it's ending up in New Jersey for absolutely no reason. A half smile, half sigh. Guess it's time to look at train schedules. Just then, Sandman appears behind her. Black Cat walks forward. Thinking to herself, Jameson was right about one thing. Being in the public spotlight isn't all roses and heart emojis. As she moves ahead, Sandman quietly follows her. And the narrator adds, for every person who decides to become your newest, biggest fan, but there was someone else besides Black Cat who decided to make you their mortal enemy. Sandman clenches his fist and suddenly swings a powerful punch from behind. Black Cat is thrown through the air and crashes into a pile of junk, wincing in pain. Her revolver flies off, landing a few feet away. Black Cat's voiceover begins in a slightly sarcastic tone. There he was, Mr. Sand, one of the only people outside a handful of elite thieves who has what it takes to sneak up on me. The camera zooms in. A massive, hulking figure steps out from the shadows. Sandman. His hands are made of a mix of dirt and stone, cracking with every flex. Not because he's smart or agile, but because he's functionally just a bag of concrete. Felicia's eyes quickly assess him. Calm, confident, ready to strike. Sandman growls. You should have listened to the kid. Don't go snooping around in places you don't belong. You know what they say, curiosity killed. Felicia rolls her eyes and cuts him off. The cat. Yeah. Why does everybody feel the need to speak to me in cliches? Suddenly, whoosh. Black Cat flips acrobatically, dodging Sandman's punch. Through the dust cloud, she lands gracefully. Claws out. Sandman sneers. You got a smart mouth for such a dumb blonde. Felicia quins. Not sure I'd call myself blonde. More, you know what? Less talking, more ticking. Bam. Her heel connects directly with Sandman's jaw. A slightly goofy moment, half of Sandman's face crumbles, and he awkwardly mutters, oof. Sandman's face shows a cold, menacing glare. Half of it is made of sand, the other half human, twisted with a sense of revenge. Sandman, growling, you think you can do whatever you want? Switch sides, steal, switch sides again, without any consequences. But you'll pay for that. The camera zooms in on his stone-like jawline. The sand cracks under pressure. Felicia gives a faint smirk, her eyes confident, tone full of sass. Black Cat, I'm just a dumb blonde thief, remember? I never pay for anything. Her voiceover begins overlapping as she misses her move. In retrospect, I should have used that split second of opportunity to hit him. Cut 2. Sandman's massive fist slams into Felicia's face with a heavy thud. The impact plays in slow motion. Debris flying through the air. But when a guy like that calls you names, it's hard not to want the last word. The screen suddenly goes black. After a beat, only her narration is heard. The hood is suddenly ripped off. Light floods her face. She squints, mascara smudged, a faint bruise under her cheek, but she's still smirking. Sandman, off screen. Here she is, boss, as promised. Revealing Tombstone, seated in a sleek, shadow-filled office. His skin pale like stone, his suit sharp black, his posture calm but dangerous. He steeples his fingers, eyes glinting coldly under the dim light. Tombstone. Hello, Miss Cat. I think it's time for us to get better acquainted. Felicia glares, breathing steady, internally calculating exits, distance, possible weapons. Her voiceover begins, sharp and noir tone. Sometimes you can see the disaster coming your way. Sometimes you can't, and sometimes you should've, but you didn't. Cut to a close-up of Tombstone's half-shadowed face. Voiceover, Felicia. And Tombstone? Tombstone was the kind of disaster I should have seen coming a mile away. Camera shifts behind him. The city skyline glowing through the window. Blue shadows crossing his shoulders. Voiceover, Felicia. But Jameson was right about something else. Too dazzled by the bright lights to see the shadows creeping in. Fade out text on screen. Next, one of the good guys, I swear. And that's where our Black Cat 2025 issue number 1 to number 3 ends. I'm really tired now and feeling sleepy, so I'm going to bed. But if you like this video, please subscribe to the channel and share your favorite moment in the comments section. Until next time, goodbye.